Hello, life leaders. Welcome to Lead Life by Design's Friday Tidbits. Thank you for joining me this morning. I just completed an amazing 5-day free training on winning through today's financial chaos. If you're interested in going back and watching the replays, they will be up until Friday. I would love to have you go in, and I will put the link in the description when we're done here. So if you're welcome to do that. We went over debt, we went over spending, we went over budgeting, we went over household continuity plan. We talked about up-leveling your resume today. And tomorrow we're going to do passion and how to incorporate that into your career. And Sunday is another bonus training that we're going to do about the emotions of change. So if you'd like to join my free mini series, you can either message me and I will get you into the group, or I will put the link where you can sign up and go in and just watch the replays in the description when we're done here. But thank you for joining me today on Friday's Tidbits here at Lead Life by Design. If you don't know me, my name is Sheila Wood, and I am the CEO of Lead Life by Design and the creator of the Financial Alignment Academy, where I blend personal development skills with your financial plan to affect long-term financial change and success. So today I want to dive into educated or wise, right? When you look around at your history and you see the wisest people you know, who would that be? What are they like? What has their life been like? What stories do they talk about when it comes to their life, right? How do they hold themselves and carry themselves? So when you use the word wise or wisdom, it gets used differently than the word educated. When you look back at the people that you know are most educated, do you believe them to be wise? Right? Because education does not equal wise. Education is the knowledge, but knowledge with no action is just words. But when you turn that on its backside and you say education is knowledge, but knowledge with action equals trial, error, learning, and repeat, right? Wise people go through the process. They try things, they fail. They implement what they're learning, they fall. They get back up, they try again, do something different. They learn from their mistakes, they do it again, right? And through that experience of trial, error, learn, repeat, they have created wisdom. Wisdom comes from life experience. It does not come from education. However, education supports the wisdom, right? Because if you have some knowledge, let's say you like to read books, right? You read a lot of books. But when you look at your bookshelf and you see all the books that you have read, how many of them can you truly say that you implemented, right? That you actually took action on what you were learning? And if the answer is yes, you do have some, what did that action look like, right? How did that feel? Did you succeed? Do you feel like you failed? Did you give up or did you get up? Right? It's the ones that get up that become wise, right? Years of that experience creates that wisdom, right? Looking at for me, I'm going to use an example. For me, I didn't go back to college until later in life. a lot of students will go from high school to college to master's to doctorate, right? And there's a lot of knowledge that they're gaining in that experience, right? But how much of that knowledge is creating the wisdom that they gain so that people can learn from them, right? It's not until they get the experience underneath the knowledge that they become really, really wise, right? And when you're looking at those people, you're actually looking at them from a lifetime of give and take and learning, which creates more respect that you have for them and more respect for the wisdom that they have, right? So just because someone has knowledge doesn't necessarily mean that they have wisdom. George Washington says, this is one of my favorite quotes. I have these great little presidential quote books. I love them. I go through them and they give me inspiration for what to talk about. But George Washington says, if we cannot learn wisdom from experience, it's hard to say where it is to be found, right? It's the experience. It's getting out and trying. It's stepping up despite whether you're going to fail or not, right? We all fail. We all fall down, right? It's the way you look at failure that matters. It's the way you look at the experience that you just went through and whether you pivot and learn, right? Maybe it means that you need to read another book and try another process. Maybe it means that you need to ask your mentor, ask that wise person who's already been there and see if there's another way to do it, right? But the point is you're getting up and you're doing it again, right? You're finding a way around the stone in the path rather than letting that stone stop you cold, right? So it's in the experience where wisdom is found. So when you're looking, I've got my notes here. I apologize, but I am looking at my notes today because I want to make sure I make some points. When you're looking back at your own education, right, taking a moment to really see what that education looks like. Now, I know people who don't have formal education. I know people who can sit there and tell me, I've never been to college, right? Is that something that they should be ashamed of? Or is that something that we on the other side who have an education need to look at differently, right? Because I know some people who do not have a formal education who are brilliant and making a whole lot of money, right? Because their approach to life, their approach to things is more in the experiential wisdom line of thought than it is in the educated line of thought, right? But in their wisdom, they have learned to get educated, whether that be from books or asking a mentor or finding someone to emulate that has been there and has succeeded at it, right? The best way to learn is to learn from those who've already been. It saves you time, it saves you money, saves you hassle, saves you mental stability, right? Because why reinvent the wheel if you don't have to, right? So really looking at those around us that we can emulate in our career and in our education is going to really take you to the next level of your income, right? Because when you start emulating someone who has been there and who has the wisdom and knowledge, both the wisdom and knowledge of the path that you're wanting to take, right? Your path becomes shorter. You start carrying yourself different. You start reading different things. You start hanging around with different people. You start spending your money differently. You start stepping up and asking for your worth more often, right? Just by having that wise person to look up to and to emulate with. And it doesn't have to be somebody you know. I have several mentors, and none of them do I personally know. Like Brandon Burchard is a wonderful mentor of mine. I've been following his leadership and productivity and life habit skills for many years. Have I implemented everything that I've learned from him? No, it's a lot. And sometimes I wasn't ready to hear the message, right? Sometimes when you hear something, and if you're not in the space to actually take it and implement it, it's okay. You still have the knowledge, you just don't have the wisdom yet, right? And what happens is as time moves on, all of a sudden that knowledge that you gained now becomes in play. It now steps up and says, oh, wait a minute, I remember something about that. Let me go back and review what I learned back then and implement it now so that I can gain wisdom through my experience, right? Another one is one of my life coaches and business coaches is Kelly Roach. I love her story. She was a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader for many years. She stepped into corporate, became one of the number one salespeople in her company. She now owns and runs 2 major companies, teaching, entrepreneurship and teaching life skills for business people, as well as teaching courage to young women with her not-for-profit. She's brilliant. She's someone that I want to emulate, right? So I am learning from her, even though she doesn't know who I am, right? I'm following in her footsteps because she's willing to share her knowledge with those who want to learn and implement and be, right? Hi, Felicia. So really looking at, who are you emulating? Are you emulating the educated or are you emulating the wise? Right? Find someone that's on the path you want to go on and follow them. Another one of my business leaders is Stacy Tushel. I love her dearly. She's got daily wisdom and she's so fast with her thinking that I look at her in awe. I'm like, how in the world did you come up with that so fast? You mention one thing to her and all of a sudden she shifts it into something else, right? But here's the neat part, and this is something that I've truly learned about myself. What I see in her that I feel I want to be and that I want to emulate into, I already have in me, right? So when I'm looking at my clients are saying the same thing to me. And I'm in awe about the fact that I can do it because I never saw it, right? I see it in others, but it's more difficult for us to see it in ourselves. There's also that level of being humble. A lot of people don't want to claim their gifts and speak them out loud because they feel like it's going to be an arrogant move, right? There is arrogance in bragging, right? But there's not arrogance in showing where you differentiate yourself from the others and showing your gifts so that you can help others. Because sometimes they need to see it to be able to believe it. And sometimes it's you being able to sell yourself like you would in your resume, right? You have to be able to sell yourself by seeing those gifts. So when you see someone that you want to emulate who's on the path you want to be on, look inside, it's already there, right? It's already there. You're now gaining the knowledge and the wisdom to step forward, right? To step into the path that you're wanting to be on. So take some time and really look at that. Look at the difference between reading all those books and actually implementing what you're learning, right? Those people that are writing the books that you're reading, they've been there. They've got the experience. Is that the path you want to be on? Is that the information that you want to implement in your life, right? If you're reading a book and it doesn't quite fit, then put it down and find a new book, right? It's either one, you're not ready to hear the information, or two, it's not on your passion, it's not on your life path. It's time to read a different book, right? It's time to listen to a different podcast. It's time to find the mentor that's going to get you where you want to go, right? As you walk your journey, the wiser you become, because instead of letting that stone in the path stop you, you are now thinking bigger and pivoting around by finding another way to get either around it or over it. And that's by looking at your mentors, learning, right? Getting up instead of giving up. So thank you so much. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for joining me on Friday Tidbits. And I appreciate you. I love you guys. And I will see you next Friday for another tidbit. Have a great day. Bye.